Jenny's footsteps echoed on the cracked pavement of Elm Street, a sound as hollow as the decade she'd been gone. She had sworn she would never come back to Oakhaven, the town that held the ghost of her family's downfall. But here she was, drawn back by a stubborn need for closure. A final look at the place that had haunted her dreams, the Blackwell Mansion. The house was a shadow of its former self, its once pristine facade now swallowed by ivy and neglect. Jenny's heart ached, remembering the laughter that once filled these halls, the smell of her father's experiments in the study, and the warmth of a life she'd lost. As she peered through a dusty window, a flicker of light caught her eye. It wasn't a trick of the setting sun, it was a warm, golden glow from a lamp, casting a silhouette against the wall. Someone was inside, with a mix of fear and indignation. She found the unlocked back door and stepped into the familiar, yet foreign, interior. The air was thick with the scent of old paper and dust, but beneath it was something else, the faint smell of pine and brewed tea. She followed the light to her father's old study. There, a man sat at his desk, surrounded by stacks of meticulously organized boxes and leather-bound journals. He looked up, his expression one of calm surprise, not alarm. He had kind eyes and a dusting of silver in his dark hair. "I've been waiting for you, Jenny," he said, his voice as gentle as the piano music she'd heard from outside. His name was Julian. He wasn't a squatter or a thief, but a historian. He had been hired by a distant relative to settle the Blackwell estate, which, it turned out, was never officially sold. The family had simply left. Julian had been tasked with finding any valuable artifacts or documents. But as he delved into the archives, he discovered a story very different from the one the town remembered. He showed her father's journals, filled not with the scribbles of a failed inventor, but with groundbreaking designs for a clean energy source. The town had branded him a fraud after his research was stolen and published under a rival's name. Overcome with grief and shame, Jenny's parents had simply packed up and left, not wanting to face the public humiliation. Julian's true motive was not to take anything, but to give something back. He had been so moved by the story of her family's resilience and her own quiet pain, chronicled in the margins of her mother's diary, that he'd made it his personal mission to clear the Blackwell name. He had compiled a comprehensive case, with evidence of the theft and her father's original blueprints. He wasn't just working for a client, he was working for her. Captivated by the ghost of a girl he felt he already knew, Jenny read through her father's words, tears blurring her vision as she saw not failure, but brilliance. The shame she had carried for so long began to melt away, replaced by a fierce pride. The house was no longer a tomb of her past, but a library of her family's truth. Julian stood beside her, a quiet presence of support. Their connection, forged in dusty records and shared history, felt deeper than any she had ever known. They worked for weeks, restoring the documents, finding lost research, and falling for each other in the process. On the day they presented the evidence to the town council, the truth was officially recognized. The Blackwell family name was cleared. Jenny decided to stay, not to mourn a lost past, but to build a new future. Together, she and Julian began the slow, loving process of restoring the mansion, transforming it from a symbol of sorrow into a home filled with new life, and a monument to the family's true legacy. She had returned looking for closure, but she found something far more precious, the truth, a new purpose, and a love that was waiting for her all along. Like the video if you want to see more stories like this. And also consider subscribing this channel Micro to Max Story, your tailmate.